conversation with Sandeep Narayan, the young maestro, and he is in Dubai to perform a classical Carnatic concert under the banner of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav 75th year of celebration and the Indian Consulate's patronage organized by Global Connect. We are indeed very happy to host him here in Dubai, and we are going to talk to Sandeep Narayan about his interest in music, his early career, and what does he expect from the Dubai audience, and what is he going to give to the Dubai audience. Welcome, Sandeep, to this.
Thank you for having me and inviting me here to perform.
We are honored and happy to have you here. Just want to know your early life in US and how did the interest in classical music start for you, and why did you decide to come to India to pursue your music, because many of them they aspire to go to the US and you have done a reverse migration.
Yeah.
So a little story about that.
So, yes, first of all, thank you so much for having me and inviting me here. It's such a pleasure for us to be able to perform in Dubai. Yes, I was born and raised in California, in Los Angeles. I have a family who's very, very interested in music, and my mother is a music teacher in Los Angeles. Even now, she has a music school there called Sampradaya School of Music. My father started one of the first sabhas in the US early on. It was the first in Southern California, called South Indian Music Academy, SEMA, in the early 80s, which is still today the premier sabha in Southern California. And so we had musicians always in the house. And my older brothers learned music. My eldest brother is a flutist. Middle brother is a mridangam artist. And then I took up vocal, learning from my mother first. Just had that music in the house constantly in our ears, you know. So it was something which was kind of came more naturally than even anything else, than even talking, singing, or some music form came first. Because of that, that interest just kept growing in me and developing. And when I was about 11 years old, my parents actually took me out of school for 1 year and moved to Chennai. I moved to Chennai for 1 year and learned under the great master, great guru, Calcutta Sri K.S. Krishnamurthy, sir. And that was really a life-changing time because almost 1.5 years I just learned from him and I didn't go to school. And that was really a pivotal time for me that I started taking music more seriously. Even at the age of just 12, it sort of went from one of those side activities to a very strong hobby, and then of course grew into a passion, and then eventually just really consumed all of my life. I continued guidance under Sri Sanjay Subramaniam sir after KSK Mama's passing, and he encouraged me greatly to take up music full time, you know, kind of planted that seed in my head that you can do this. So of course I studied in the US and I was going back and forth. Eventually when I was in university, I thought, okay, maybe this is a real possibility that I should explore at least. If not moving to India, just going for 1 or 2 years, something like that. That's actually how it started. It's kind of funny enough. I just went to India thinking I'd go back in about 1 or 2 years. That became 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, it just kept one more year. Concerts kept happening. Tour happened. You know, there was a lot of encouraging factors, supporting factors. You know, a lot of people were encouraging and supportive. Initially, it was very difficult. I think people didn't understand the concept of this reverse migration. Why would you come from there? They thought I was just coming and going to leave and that I wasn't serious. So no matter how much I stayed and how serious I felt, somehow it was difficult to sort of even comprehend at that time. This was 2006 I'm talking about. So now it's quite common. Now people kind of don't even think twice. Oh, you're from there, you're from here, okay. You're going to be here for some time? Okay, fine, they'll give concerts. It was a little tough in the beginning, but eventually people saw that I was really working hard. I was going and listening to a lot of concerts, practicing, learning a lot, and ready to perform anytime, which really helped in the long run. And, you know, in that sense, you have to go to Chennai. As like an aspiring actor goes to Hollywood, or somebody who's in tech usually ends up in Silicon Valley, or, you know, finance guys go to New York, or et cetera, et cetera. For a Carnatic musician, Chennai is the place, or Madras as we called it before. So I just knew that was the place I had to be. If I wasn't going to be in Chennai, I may as well be in Los Angeles. It was kind of like that. So I made sure that I got to Chennai, and luckily had a great support system in my family, in my teachers. My grandparents were there in Chennai, so I could stay with them, and they were very supportive. And my teacher just stayed down the street. I could walk to class, walk to concerts. So in that way, I was very, very lucky to have such a good support system around me after that.
Today's younger generation are into classical music than you could see the younger generation, say about 20, 25 years back. So the reason being, I feel that we have more of classical music concerts happening all over the world today. And what is the striking difference that you feel in the performance of the artists today and the veterans who performed in the earlier days?
Our art form, Carnatic music, is always evolving, as any art form does. If we compare what the great Vidwans were doing, say, 50 years ago, compare that to what was happening 60, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, at least, as early as our recordings go back, we can see each decade or each generation of artists have done something a little more, pushed the boundaries. So it's a natural evolution. We can't force that. It just happens. What's happening today is that we're so connected through social media, through YouTube, just through anything online, that somebody sings something today, we can hear it immediately. Not even just tomorrow, tonight, or even as the concert, people live stream. Because of that instant connection, instant communication, our information that we can get is so much more. So because of that, we are also exposed to so many more musical styles, which artists are now incorporating into our performances. Whether it's a little bit of something we heard in a film, if it's something that even in Western music, Western classical, Western pop, there's some of those elements which just kind of creep in if you listen to those things. And of course, other folk styles from around India, other classical styles, bringing Hindustani elements into Carnatic. Many artists bringing Carnatic into the Hindustani concerts these days. Because of that overlap, we are able to also see so many of the similarities rather than always kind of focusing on the differences like what used to happen for a long time. So that evolution has been happening. It's not just comparing today to 30 years ago. We can look at 30 years before that and see such a huge difference. If we go all the way back to the great Vidwans, whose probably the earliest recordings we have are recordings of, Ariyakudi Ramanuja Iyengar sir, and, from there, so many, some few recordings of like Musuri sir, then Shamangudi Mama, then GNB sir, then, Ramana Krishnan sir, MD Ramanathan sir, all these great Vidwans. Then we come to the later generations, T.N. Seshgopalan sir, T.V. Shankaranarayan sir. Such an evolution in the music, such pushing the boundaries and exploring different ragams, exploring different styles and approaches. There you can see Kalyanaraman sir. Then, of course, subsequently, my guru Sanjay sir and his generation, and so much of, you can call it experimentation, you can call it exploration. It's sort of a natural sort of evolution, though, at the end of the day, what finally happens when you look at a sort of a larger timeline. So that has been happening. It continues to happen. Probably today it's happening faster, like I said, because of the connect online and things like that, social media and whatnot. The connection, the evolution is happening a lot faster, but it's great. As you say, youngsters are exposed to a lot more. They're listening a lot more. There was a dip, a time when the younger generation was not taking to classical arts, and now I feel it is coming back, and I hope that it thrives. It has a lot to do with how we present as well. So we have to make modifications and sort of have a progressive look towards the performance aspect of it. If we're going to perform today as the great Vidwans performed 80 years ago, it's probably not going to connect to the audience today, even though that musicality, the Vidwat, is something that's really unmatched. When I look at it, when somebody like I look at it, it's just a whole other level. I mean, their musicality was so amazing. But unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever it is today, the reality of the situation is that if we present it that way, it won't connect to today's audience. Today's audience also wants quick. They want some small things. The YouTube culture that we have today, the Instagram reel culture of 30 seconds, of 1 minute, of 2 minute reels or whatever. That's fine. That's the world we live in. There's a lot of things happening. It's fast paced, but communication is also quick. We have reach. We have so much reach today, so quick. Artists in those days, just imagine, they could not reach the number of people. It took decades to reach around the world, their music to reach the world, if it did at all. So many great Vidwans and Vidushis were forgotten. Today, everybody has a YouTube channel. Everybody has an Instagram page. It's great. It's fantastic. It gives everybody the opportunity to connect and for our music and our arts to grow and be propagated.
So that was Sandeep Narayan. He has explained in detail the tenets of music and the changes and the evolution that Carnatic music and Hindustani music is undergoing. And of course, it is much for the better for the audience, the students, the teachers, and the connoisseurs of music. Sandeep Narayan was initiated into music at a very young, early age, and he took the challenge of mastering the rigorous methods of learning Carnatic music, and that has made him into a brilliant artist. And Dubai just saw one of his mesmerizing performances, and we could see his mastery over ragams and his flair for converting difficult songs into just applausible pieces of art. And we could see a mixture of performances in the different very popular ragams like Abheri and Mohanam and Bharatiyar songs, a Kathakali piece, Abhang, and Ragam Tanam Pallavi, what-not. A concert that was supposed to end in 2 hours, stretched up to 3 hours, and the audience wanted more. And we witnessed some great compositions, and we look forward to much more music from Sandeep Narayan. This is Jyoti Ishwaran from Global Connect talking to you, and this was a conversation with the great young maestro, Sandeep Narayan.